live from New York. It's the show that's wishing Brou a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Brou.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I didn't even know.
We got you all this
All
this is all for me.
foliage.
Foolishness.
Hey,
For a professional operation, we have plastic spiders on the desk. It's true.
we start with the Cowboys losing. A little bit of a comeback, little garbage time Dak action, but he likes it. He likes to compile the numbers.
Yeah, that's right.
That actually,
That's exactly
we'll talk
right.
about it.
Don't that actually?
I think
during
he
the news-
fooled
Go
Nick.
ahead.
He fooled Nick.
I think I may have had too much coffee before the
I
show.
think so, man.
Dak has another multiple
something in
interception
your
game, but also throws multiple touchdowns.
Okay.
Brou, what grade are you giving the Cowboys?
Well, let me start by saying this. I wish Dak was as impressive on the field as he is at the podium. He's great. I mean, he is phenomenal at the press conference, all right? Let me start by saying this. I'm not fooled, as some are, by the final score. Oh, they only lost by 6.
Exactly.
It was essentially over at the end of the third quarter when
Correct.
San Francisco went up 27-10. Now, they went soft under the, and I'll get to that. All right, Nick apparently was fooled.
No,
I'm
I
see-
think
seeing
I
the look on
just
your face.
I
mean, they did have a
I think
legitimate
the
chance to
harshest
win because
criticism
it got crazy.
of Dak is what happened at the very end of the game because they could have won. But so that's what, so I don't think it was nonsense because they did have a chance.
They
to
had
win,
a chance, but it was
legitimate
like,
chance.
Yeah,
but
like,
go ahead. I understand what you're saying.
Right. Dak, I am also not fooled by his numbers. Because weeks from now, months from now, years from now, people will look at the box score and say, Dak, 250 yards, essentially 2 touchdowns. It wasn't on Dak. I mean, he wasn't great. He threw 2 picks, but it wasn't on Dak.
I hope
if
years
you watch
from
the
now, people aren't
game,
breaking this game down.
hey, if you watch the game, what Dak did is what he has done for years. When the game is really in the balance and it's early and your team is getting behind, you're looking terrible. You're throwing picks, you got 3 and outs, you're not scoring. And then when the other team gets up big and they go a little softer on defense, not a full prevent sometimes, but not a full prevent for the most part, but just softer, Dak starts racking up the yards and even the touchdowns. And at the end of the day, you look at the box score and say, Dak was pretty good. Well, I'm not fooled by that, all right, because Dak wasn't very good. The defense wasn't good either. Brock Purdy, they had him looking like Lamar Jackson. He ran for 56 yards. That's equal to what the Cowboys did.
Yes.
Tony Pollard, anyone? Y'all rip me when I bring up Tony Pollard. My goodness, could they use some Tony Pollard down in Dallas? All right, so here we go. Here we go. As I pondered what grade I wanted to give the Cowboys, initially I thought maybe a D.
Yeah.
Maybe even like a C minus. But then I looked at the context. You coming off a bye week. All right. San Francisco's just as banged up, if not more, as you. And this was a grudge match, a revenge game even for the Cowboys. So I said, I can't give them a passing grade. And as you mentioned, Wilds, it's my birthday. I didn't want to make a big deal out of this. But what's the best way? There's no better way to celebrate a birthday than with a cake. So here's the grade. And I can't wait to dig into this F cake.
What?
Because the Cowboys brought their F cake, F game to the game, and I brought an F cake.
I mean, it's wonderful. Before you dig into the cake, there are thumbtacks on it.
Also, so this is
thumbtacks.
unfortunate for a number of reasons.
Cake.
So I'm fine with that grade, and I'll give my answer in a moment. But
This is so silly.
I
Is it?
lied.
That's what it is.
Brew, I lied at the beginning of the show.
Oh.
I did know today was your birthday, and I planned at the end of the show to give you a cake of my own, and now you've spoiled it. I had this sitting here the whole time, ready and waiting for you. This cowboy Brew. I thought you'd love
at least
it.
you got my
and
picture,
now,
right? At least
Right,
you got
and
the
now
picture,
it
right?
feels like it's
Shape of the.
It's
What
in the
is
state
that?
of. It's the state
That's
of
the state of Texas?
Oh.
Texas, yeah.
Wow.
I got him a whole cowboy brew cake, and now it doesn't quite
It
work.
is me.
All right, so here's the deal. The final drive, which in my opinion you glossed over a bit, was the biggest indictment. The final drive is why I advocated for the Cowboys to wait on paying Dak Prescott. Because a lot of what Brou said is correct. That early in the game, Dak looked shaky when the Niners were putting it on them in the third quarter, and it seemed like had won the game in that third quarter. Dak was eyes wide like in the playoff game. But then Purdy almost threw that pick six on the play. They were up 17, the ball got batted down, and the guy would have had it right there. And that could have flipped the game, but it kind of seemed like that moment gave the Cowboys a bit of life because all of a sudden they score, and it's like, oh, wait, now it's a 6-point game, and if they get a stop, and they get the stop, and Dak immediately goes to how he was playing when the game was inbounds before. Very first play of that drive, it would have thrown a pick to Diamador Lenore, but Fred Warner tips it because he doesn't know he's behind him.
He threw it to like three Niners.
He threw it to three Niners, and so that to me is the worst part, is that Dak was mediocre early, then bad. And then, you're right, pressure off a little bit, defense a little softer, start feeding CD and you're cooking, and then the moment the stakes are back to something real, holy bleep, we drive the field and score, we steal this game. It was the perfect scenario. Down 6 with the ball, you're confident, like everything you could have asked for, plenty of time, more than 2 minutes left, and it immediately goes 4 and out. And so I agree with you, Brou. And the Cowboys, so there's two pieces of this quickly. One is Dak this year to last year. Last year, almost wins MVP, has a career year. This year, quite the opposite. We can show you those numbers, I think, but what you're going to see is a player who reverted back to all of his worst tendencies, as far as the yards per pass being lower, the completion percentage being significantly lower, and the touchdown interception ratio going from 4-1 to basically 1-1, 1.25 to 1.
Yeah.
And then here's the other part about the Cowboys as a whole, Wilds. They get blasted. And you're right, they come back. In the Ravens game, that was a real comeback in that they did have a chance. Like the Ravens
Even
in
though
third.
you can blame the other team,
This game they really had a chance. But it doesn't change the fact that how many games this year have you been trailing by more than 2 scores? 17 plus. Here's the full list of teams who have done it more than 3 times. It is the Dallas Cowboys, I think we can show it to you, and the Carolina Panthers. That's it. Panthers doing it 7 times, by the way. Yikes. But by the way, if this list was 3+ times, the only teams we add to it are New Orleans, the Jets, the Titans, the Dolphins, New England, and Vegas. All 1 or 2 win teams. Those are the teams. So the Cowboys just get blasted repeatedly, dig themselves in this big hole, and Dak's been a big part of it. And so I don't think the Niners that were on the field last night are a great team. They might be by the end of the year.
Amazing.
Right. And so there's no excuse for that, to your point, to just in the third quarter get rolled out of the stadium. There isn't.
On the other side of the ball, Brock had a good game in the third quarter alone. San Francisco gets to 500 going into their bye and maybe get CMC back. Hello, running the ball. Purdy last night, pretty good, Brou. Go to that bottom line, 7 for 7, 140 total yards, 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, which kind of broke the game open. Were you impressed with, is your faith restored if it ever wavered?
Well, look, you saw that quote by Trent Williams. It was measured. And I think any fan of the Niners, you should be measured. Like, they look like what I thought they were this season. Probably a playoff team. I think they'll be a playoff team, but I mean, they got a tough schedule ahead of them. And their division, what helps them is Seattle lost, and the division is all jam-packed. And the Rams now are healthy, so they're going to make some noise. But I don't think they're, like, the best teams right now, I think, in the NFC are Detroit, and then I'd say Green Bay. I don't know if
Washington
you want to throw Washington.
Deserves credit.
Yeah, and I put now San Francisco healthy. We'll see what they look like if they get McCaffrey back. They're going into a bye week, which is good for them. If you get McCaffrey back, Jawan Jennings wasn't even there yesterday, so you get him back. I mean, I
Their
don't think
defense
they win
is
the
not
NFC.
what it's been.
It's not what it was.
Any of the years they made deep playoff runs.
No.
Like, we can argue about Purdy later in the show. Purdy, by the way, played well yesterday objectively. I thought at the very end of the game he had a few mistakes, but over the course of the game I thought he played really well. And I agree with you. The escapability stuff is who was it on?
Doing great.
Collinsworth said it yesterday. He didn't say this, but he might as well have. Purdy is more mobile than Dak at this point in their careers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? When
Absolutely.
Collinsworth kind of said as an aside, I don't think he meant it.
That's one of Dak's problems.
Yeah, he was like, man, he doesn't run like he used to.
Yeah.
Right.
And so the Niners, I think the Rams can run them down. They all have 4 losses,
only a
and
half
the
game
Rams,
ahead.
right? And the Rams already beat them in the one matchup, and the Niners have, I think, one gimme left on the schedule, and so I think that it's not about Purdy as much as this just to me is a less ominous Niners team than they've had any of the last 5 years, given the fact that they've almost always had this top 5 defense to lean on, and it doesn't feel like that at any point this season. Is this a dominant defensive unit?
It definitely feels like there's a Super Bowl hangover. Not a funk like we saw Philadelphia last year, but a hangover. Like whether it's injuries or the emotional strain of going, 5-6 years, getting close
Or
and
just
not
the
getting over the
extra
hump.
games.
Yeah,
The
that's
extra,
probably
they're
something
just
to do with the
playing
injuries.
21, 20, 19 game seasons every year. It wears on you.
That rest disadvantage thing that Warren Sharp is big on too.
Yeah.
So, can I just throw a take out there on
Please.
the take stock market?
Yeah.
I don't know if this route to the playoffs is necessarily a bad thing for the 49ers.
I don't.
If they get in.
And even if they don't, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Oh, if they miss the playoffs?
Because they'll be back next year, not with everybody, but kind of a reset, but they'll still be good.
I like a little bit of like a scratching and clawing. We proved ourselves. We had a lot of adversity we need to get over in the regular season rather than just
So you
ripping
think
off.
they, if
I mean,
they
but
get
that's
in,
what
they
it's
a
could go
different-
through.
it's just something
I don't think
needs-
they're as good.
No, I don't think they're as good either, but they could get hot. I just think it's interesting. Like, if
It's
this was
happened.
happening to the Ravens, I wouldn't be mad. Maybe it is.
Well, look,
I mean-
if they get in the playoffs and McCaffrey's only played 3 or 4 games and he's fresh for the playoffs, then maybe there's something.
Head out to Vegas, not literally.
No, that's next week.
Keep your mic pack on. Where Mahomes is undefeated in his career, and the Chiefs stay undefeated this season. Over 260 yards and 2 touchdowns for Patrick. 1 interception would have been bad, but the Chiefs' defense said, don't worry about it. We got it. The Kansas City proved they're unquestionably the best team in the league.
I mean, they're so clearly, obviously much better than everyone else. I mean, it's just they have the best defense in football that shuts down your top receiver, and you can't run on them at all. We can show you that quickly. Jacoby Myers yesterday might have had the best game any number 1 receiver has had against the Chiefs all year. And it was 6 catches for 9 yards a catch, but he did score a touchdown. I guess Drake London would be the only real competition for that. Okay, so then can people run on the Chiefs? The answer to that is unequivocally absolutely not. Alexander Mattison yesterday, 14 for 15, a great batting average, a terrible yards per rush. And so what does that mean? It then means the Chiefs' methodical, boring, grind you down offense will slowly strangle you along with the defense. And as Wilds pointed out, making a terrible mistake. Free rusher, hits Mahomes, tipped pass, drive and start at the 5-yard line. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so, but what is so shocking about it, and so I know how the media works. Because 3 weeks ago, it was, why are the Chiefs better than the Vikings? Here are the numbers. And then last week I had to hear, okay, why are the Chiefs better than the Ravens when the Ravens are so clearly better at everything? Their quarterback's better, their running back's better, they have more explosive plays, all of it. And now, you know what's coming?
Well, I have a full screen if this is it.
I mean, well, let's see. You say it on 3. Are you going to go Bills or Lions? It's only one of the 2.
You have to guess it, right?
1, 2, 3. Lions. Yeah, of course. Yeah. You can put up Wild's full screen.
Kansas City versus Detroit. Points per game.
Yeah, of course. So it's the Lions. No, it's the Lions.
But
They
the
blow
defense
people
is
out.
good,
They're
the
so
turnovers.
fun. They're cool. They're edgy. They throw passes to linemen, all this stuff. Who cares? This team never loses. And so, this week it'll be the Lions. And a week from now, setting up the Chiefs game against the Bills, it'll be the Bills because the Bills are going to be favored in that game, I would imagine.
No.
I left out the week that the Niners were better than the Chiefs because the Niners were favored over the Chiefs all week. And we can say, Nick, you're going to make this big of a deal over a win against the Raiders, about a win against the Raiders. Well, it is a big deal because remember the Raiders have one thing no one else has, the recipe. And that's your building burning down, Antonio Pierce. Because, by the way, Andy Reid did what he always does, which is come to Vegas and leave with a win. He's now the winningest coach in the history of that stadium. No one has more wins in Allegiant Stadium than Andy Reid. He coaches there 6. 5 regular season, 1 Super Bowl. Josh McDaniels has 6. This guy's got 2 or 3 and is going to be stuck there for a long time. That's it. So, yeah, they're the best team by a mile, Brou.
What are you going to say? Yes. I mean, it's like they just methodically beat you down. It's not as flashy, obviously, as it used to be.
Yep.
And Nick mentioned the defense, and the numbers are good. They're like top 5 and a lot of stuff. But I don't care about the numbers. They're clearly the best defense. Like, when Mahomes threw that interception, and it was 1st and goal for the Raiders at the 3.
Yeah.
And they shut them down. In fact, they went backwards by the time the possession was over. Like, that is just incredible. And watching that game, and look, the Raiders played for what they are, they played well. But you just knew Minshew didn't have the firepower. He's not good enough to score with the Chiefs. And so, yeah, they're playing great. And I thought, look, DeAndre Hopkins only had 2 catches for about 29 yards. But I thought his presence was felt because you just saw the defense has to worry about him. You have to account for him. So Kelsey gets 10 catches for almost 100 yards and his first touchdown. Xavier Worthy had his most catches of the season, 4, but he didn't score. He's had, bigger impact in games.
He scored at the end.
Right, he did score, my bad. But he had 4 catches. But you see, now we got to worry about not only Kelsey, but D-Hop too. So that opened things up. And then they just go and get Uche. So
it's going to be good.
Yeah. He'll help him. He certainly won't hurt him.
I'm telling you, he is going to be
I think he's going to be good.
I think he's going to be great.
But it's also because he's a situational pass rusher, and the Chiefs are always ahead. That's the other thing that is frustrating me about this narrative. It's as if the Chiefs have stolen a lot of victories. Can we show you the list of the most games this season by any team? Keep in mind the Chiefs already had an early bye where they never trailed the entire 4th quarter. The Chiefs, the Vikings, who also had a bye, and the Bills, who have played an extra game. Okay, what about this? Fewest minutes trailing in the 4th quarter all year. The Chiefs have trailed for less than 10 minutes in the 4th quarter all season, and it was all in the Bengals game. It was the entirety of it was in the Bengals game. And go ahead, Brou.
Well, I'm going to say this, Nick, and you don't seem to want to go there. And I'm not predicting it so much because, they may just slip up. Who's beating them in the regular season? I'm going to stick with the Ravens, but who's beating them in the regular season? They've played a pretty tough schedule already.
Can I make another thing too? Because I know, because you don't think they're going to be undefeated. You're on the record. Mahomes, we didn't try to make, but the narrative was this puppet thing. And I was like, does Mahomes want revenge?
I don't know what puppet.
Oh, did he do it? Okay. So I asked Dusty, I was like, hey, I was listening to Mahomes sound. Is there anything there, a little get back? And it's just steady hand. Right. So the reason why I think undefeated is on the board, they're just nonplussed. Like, we're going to go in, handle our business, and leave. There's not a lot of ups and downs. It's just
it's all steady. I just think I think it is hard to do something no one's ever done if it's not your primary goal. And I think for a secondary goal, and I know we have to go, but there's one banner left. Okay. So I just want to remind everyone, the Kansas City Chiefs have 7 wins, which is the same amount as Brou's beloved Jets and Ravens put together. Happy birthday, buddy. Sorry, I'm just letting you know.
Jets.
What do you mean? 7 wins.
Where's that face come from?
That's 7 wins. For your 2 teams. Your 2 AFC teams.
That one's better.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.